we're now in the second video. I like to try to make my videos in 10-minute chunks. Sometimes I kind of go over time. It's just because then, your attention spans for humans. Okay, anyway, let's just do number 6. Let's describe this one in words. So we're pretty much going to do the same steps as number 4 and 5, and we'll see how long this will take. Let's just go for it. Okay, so always start with what number. Just start with that x. So what number? Okay, what's right next to the x? It's this over 3, and over 3 is the same thing as divide by 3. What number divide by 3, and then just go from left to right, minus 7 is equal to 2, or equals 2. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Okay, so I think your description should be just something like this. Notice that I didn't write it in like in a paragraph form. This is fine. Write it like this, then that way we can tackle it so that we can bring up those descriptions. Okay, so what we described last, we're going to do first, but the opposite. So we described the minus 7 last. We're going to do this first. But the opposite of minus 7 is add 7. So that's going to be your first step. You're going to add 7 on both sides. Kabam. X over 3, or x divided by 3, is equal to, I was going to put a 2 over here. 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. Okay. All right, that's checked off. You can cross it off or make your own little check box. Okay, now that this is checked off, we're going to do this description next, but the opposite. So instead of saying divide by 3, we're going to multiply by 3. Okay. So how to do that is, I'm just going to write this twice for notes purposes so that you guys can see what's going on. So to multiply by 3 and to write it, you just go 3 times and 3 times like this. Okay. So what's going to happen is the division and the multiplication, they undo each other. So you're just only left with the x. And then now you just do 9 times 3, which is 27. Okay. Okay. We did step A. This was step B. And now we're going to go back to number 6. And let's do step C, which means to check. So we said that number is 27 because we asked ourselves what number. Well, let's just check. 27. And let's go through the steps. Okay. What number divide by 3? Okay, so let's divide by 3 first. Well, hopefully you guys know that this is 9. And if not, that's okay. Okay. And then minus 7. Does that equal to 2? Yes, it does. Okay. So we got the number that we want. Let's keep moving. Number 8. There's a couple of ways that you guys can solve number 8. And a lot of students, they tend to do the distribution. You distribute the 2, and that's totally fine. But in this particular lesson, I just want to show you guys another way. There's other ways to do this as well. So let's describe this again. What number? Okay, and then go from in to out. So I'm just going to block off the 2. What number times 7, because that's right by the x. What number times 7? And then right next to the x is the minus 4 because it's still in the parentheses. So really think about your PEMDAS. What number times x minus 4? Now we can incorporate this 2. The 2 is stuck together with the parentheses, so I do want to remind you that's another times. Times 2 equals to 20, or equals 20. Okay, so your description should kind of at least look like this for the bare minimum. Okay. All right, we're done with number 8. Now let's use a description to help us solve for the variable. Same equation. So what we described last, we're going to do first. So we described the times 2 last. We're going to do that first. But the opposite. The opposite of times 2 is divide by 2. So that's going to be our first step to solve for the variable. We're going to divide by 2 on both sides. Let's go ahead and do that. divide by 2, divide by 2. So what's going to happen is, I know some of you guys are used to distributing, but you guys can do this way as well. So what's going to happen is the times 2 and the divide by 2, they undo each other, so that's gone. And now you're left with 7x minus 4 on the left side only. And we just got to do the right side. 20 divided by 2 is 10. You know, some students kind of tend to forget to do the right side. So even sometimes myself too. Like I even sometimes find myself writing the 20 over here. So just make sure you're also doing the right side. Okay, the times 2 is done. Okay, so maybe I'll do like a light scratch over here. Okay, now you just go backwards. You go backwards. Okay, so then you tackle the minus 4. That's the second thing that we're going to do, but we have to do the opposite. So we're going to add 4 on both sides. So plus 4 and plus 4. Okay. The minus 4 and plus 4, they undo each other, so that's gone. So you're only left with 7x. Make sure we do this part over here. 10 plus 4 is equal to 14. Okay. Hopefully this comes out. I'm going to try to do this in purple now. Okay. Last. Okay, we did the minus 4. Now let's do the times 7. But the opposite. The opposite of times 7 is divide by 7. So that's going to be your last step. I'm going to divide 7 on both sides of the equation to balance the equation. Okay, this is gone, this is gone. And 14 divided by 7 is 2. Okay, so again, you use the descriptions to help you guys out to see what you have to do first. You're going to have to go backwards. Okay. We did A, we did B, and now let's do step C, which is to check our work. Okay, well, let's go check it. We said 2 is that number, so let's start with 2 first. And then now go forwards. Look at your description and go forwards. What number times 7? So let's do that first. Times 7. Well, I hope that equals to 14. Okay. So now go forwards. What number times 7? We did that. Then minus 4. Okay, let's minus 4. That equals to 10. Okay. And then now we're going to last times that by 2. Is that going to give us the 20 that we want? Absolutely. Okay, so we solve for the variable x has got to be 2. Okay. I think I want to do one more, and then this one more will fit in the video, and then I'm going to, the last video will be a little bit shorter because we'll just do some notes over here to wrap up the lesson. Let's do number 10 now. Describe this in words. Okay, all right, got you, got you. What number? Okay, go from the most where the x is at. So right next to the x is this 4, and it is times because it's just attached to it. What number times 4? Then right next to the times 4 is the plus 7. Add 7. You can also do plus 7. Does not matter. It's the same thing. Then divide by 5. Divide 5 or divide by 5. It's up to you. Is equal to 103. Okay, so what number times 4 plus 7 divided by 5 is equal to 103. Our description is done. Step A is done. Now let's do step B. We're going to take our description to help us solve the equation, but remember what we described last, we're going to do first, but the opposite. So this is going to be number 1 over here. But opposite of divide by 5 is times by 5. Okay, so what's going to happen is to times by 5, very similar to the previous problem, we're just going to go times 5 over here and times 5 over here. Okay, on the left side, the times 5 and divide by 5, they undo each other. So all you're left with on the left side is going to be 4x plus 7. Okay, just don't forget to do the right side. 103 times 5 is going to be 515. All right. Okay, divide by 5 is cool. Now let's do the second step. So work your way backwards. So now we describe add 7. Well, we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to do minus 7 on both sides. So we're going to go minus 7, minus 7. The plus 7 and minus 7, they undo each other. So this is going to be 4x is equal to 508, huge number. Okay. All right. Then what we described first, we're going to do last. So this is our last thing to do. Right over here. So many arrows. Okay, but instead of saying times 4 not instead of saying times 4, we're not going to use times 4. We got to do the opposite. We're going to divide by 4 on both sides. So that's going to be your last step in order to solve this equation. So 508 divided by 4, x is going to equal to 127. Just be careful. Sometimes on the homework problems, you're going to have some decimal answers, and that is okay. All right, so we did step B. We just want to make sure that this is legit, you know? So let's check our work on step C. Well, we said that number is 127, so let's go for it. 127, and go forwards now. What number times 4? Okay, I'm actually using the calculator on the side, so 508, okay. Then add 7, so plus 7 is going to be 515, and then after that we're going to divide by 5. Is that going to give us the, yes it is, it's going to be 103. Okay, so this video is almost 12 minutes long. I'm going to see you on the last video just to wrap things up on our summary for numbers 12 and 13.